we are honored and privileged to have you here with us. For those of you who are just take a couple of minutes to introduce you to Urban Solace. So Urban Solace is Bangalore and India's first cultural cafe, and it's built on a philosophy that says that there are 13 energy fields through which one can experience the inner outer self. And so we have used creative self-expression as the medium for transference of energy. And hence we do all these wonderful things over here: poetry and comedy and music and art and theatre and installations, and you name it, we do an average of 30 to 40 events a month. And we're honored to have you all here with us this evening. So Tuesdays with the Bard was something that got created in a very, for a lack of a better word, in a very miraculous way. So did this evening's program also. Coincidentally, the first poet who featured over here 10 years ago is a product of Fabs. He did his 11th and 12th over there. We didn't know that until we put up the post on Facebook. He said, oh, I'm from Fabs too. So he's joining us shortly. This evening's program, I owe special thanks to Som for, and it just happened miraculously. Som has been a religious guest and follower of our programs for several years, 5-6 years now. And he mostly comes for our book club meet, which happens once a month. Recently he started coming for our poetry, and that's when the bells clicked. And I think he was toying with this idea in his head for a long time. And when he just shared with me that this is we have this fabulous teacher, I said, hey, we can do something together for him. And it just happened in a moment. And the result of that moment is what we are experiencing this evening. So my special thanks to Som and to Alan, who joined him on the team to put this event together. Thank you so much. And to Sunil, we get to meet again. And Sunil, who helped us with the collation of tributes to Mr. Wood. Unfortunately, I did not meet Mr. Wood, and I would have, I'm sure I would have loved him. But this evening is all about the contribution that he has made. When Som shared this with me, I'm sure many of you all have heard or read or watched the movie Tuesdays with Morrie. And there was an instant connect with the kind of input that Som wanted to create and the storyline of Tuesdays with Morrie. And Som has not read it, even though I told him a week ago, watch the movie or get the book and read it. But this was an original thought and original idea of Som, and we have to give him credit for that. Thank you so much. So I'm very happy for all the responses that came in and for the energy that has been collected together. Over to Som for the rest of the evening. Thank you for being here.
Thanks a lot. Good mic, I don't know. Can you hear me, right?
We also practice for your words.
Yes. I'm used to blackboard. Okay. Hi everyone, good evening. Welcome to this evening's special little event that Som came up with. As Penny said, it's definitely a very unique program. I'm sure all of you will agree with me. And there were many people who sent us messages that it was a great idea, and unfortunately we can't be here and so on. Okay? We never know, this could be the start to bigger things in different ways. We can reach out to our alma mater and our teachers. There are many of them who are sprinkled across the city, and I'm sure each of them deserves the same thing that Mr. Wood is, how we are honoring today. So basically, Mr. Wood was my personal mentor, okay? And if at all I became a teacher, it was because of him. So I've got to thank him from that angle as well. But as a student, all of us, have enjoyed his classes, and we will come to know a lot more experience from all of you. So we encourage you to participate today. It's not about us reading the poems, it's about all of you chipping in and giving us those little anecdotes of Mr. Wood, some funny ones, or whatever you want to share. Today it's like an open mic basically. So please come forward and share your memories. It's being recorded. They're going to also edit the whole video and send it across to Mr. Gold. So what you all have now is a copy of the panorama. Okay, I think KG has a copy here. He has got it. He took a picture. He took a picture of the book and sent it to me. Okay, so he's treasuring it. So you can see the impact of what happened in CAPS many years ago. So the entire syllabus of 20 words, very obligingly printed it for us, and so came up with this idea. We'll put in a few thoughts of people as well. I mean, just a few. I'm sure many more wanted to say, but just a few we put into our little booklet. So for this evening, I just run through the program. Okay. So Mr. Wood himself was extremely grateful. He has sent home a couple of emails, and in fact we wanted him to even send a little video clip, but he's not well, as you all know. Okay, he's not well, but he's still very grateful and excited to know that such an event is taking place. In fact, I've been getting calls from people who thought that Mr. Wood is down. Okay, they've been calling me and they're asking me, "Has Sir come down?" I said, "No, unfortunately, he's not come down." So, I hope you all have a copy of the book, right? Yes. Yeah. So, we'll have these poems read out, and these 5 poems, incidentally, are his favorite poems. So, we were kind of thinking as to which ones we could pull out and discuss or talk about. Then we said, why not ask Sir himself? So we spoke to Sir, sent him an email, and he replied with these 5 poems. So we're going to specially honor that as well. So the 5 poems. Yeah, the 5 poems are "To India, my native land." This will be done by Som. Okay, Som. Everyone knows Som, right? Som Skanda Gudugu, his full name. Yeah, we know as Som. Okay, very, what should I say, organized guy, and everything is like, put down, bullet points and nothing missed out. Okay, the highwayman, very short word, right?
That is the first poem he taught us.
Pardon?
That is the first poem he taught us.
That's the one that has given us all.
Yeah.
So the highwayman will be presented by a woman. Nalini will present to us the highwayman. A shaker, okay, this is a guy who also is very grateful to Mr. Wood, and he can't be here, he's in the US, so he has sent a little video clip which we will play in the middle of the program. Where the mind is without fear, KG Mohan will take us with that. I will present to you Tiger by William Blake, and we have one more last minute entry which is not printed here, and that is Robert John. Robert will take us through the solitary reaper. Okay? I hope you will enjoy these 5 poems, and I hope these are poems that you also consider as your favorites. Okay?
And after this, any of you is welcome to read any poem of your choice.
So once we finish with the 5 poems. Okay? After we complete the 5 poems, then we can open it out to sharing of memories, little stories that you want to share with us regarding Mr. Wood, not Mr. Fernandez. Okay? And then, if you have any poems that you want to share with us, that you have composed, you are most welcome to. Nalini, yeah? I think even a man has.
Madam, we have Madam Tina Navas. She is a writer and a poet, and she will be reading one poem, and 2 others have composed poems.
Yes. Okay. Ronnie is taking us for dinner, so don't worry. Then we have a group photograph, and we've got 2 lovely musicians, professionals, okay? Both are former FAP students, and they're going to play for us the school song at the end. be a really high point. And somewhere in the middle, they will also play another piece called La Paloma for us.
Wow.
Okay? So,
And I think you mentioned Sonali speaking.
yes, I'm so sorry. There's one more little video clip of her called Sonali. She will also say a few words.
She's from Delhi.
Okay.
She's sent the recording.
Any questions?
Not batch, right?
No, junior.
Our teachers.
You're not getting their exam after this, right?
Yeah. All right. Okay. So with that, we begin this evening. Teacher, my teacher. Okay. In honor of Mr. Wood. So I invite to India, my native land. So. Can you give a round of applause?
So, as far as our batch was concerned, in class 9 we started Panorama, and Mr. Wood started with Henry Louis Vivian Derosio's To India My Native Land. And what should I show you? Am I audible enough? Is it okay? Yeah. So, To India My Native Land was the first poem, and incidentally, when I reached out to Mr. Wood, the 5 poems he gave out, the first one was To India My Native Land. So I thought I would take this opportunity to read it out to you. And of course, also give you a sort of a heads up on the poet, Henry Louis Vivian Derosio, who 1831 was an Indo-Anglian poet and a faculty member of the Hindu College, Calcutta. He was a radical thinker and he was one of the first to disseminate Western learning among Indian students. He quit formal education at 14 and but was considered a great scholar and a thinker. This led to his appointment as a teacher in English literature and history at the age of 17 by the Hindu College. His students came to be known as Derosians because he encouraged thinking and he organized debates and lectures for the students. His radicals, of course, later on, a year or two later, his radical views led to his expulsion from the Hindu College. And 2 important poems written by him, one was referred to by Mr. Wood, I remember, is The Fakir of Jangira and To India My Native Land. And Henry Louis Vivian Derosio died at the young age of 22. So within a very short span, he managed to make such an impact. And quite recently, as Alan was mentioning, there is among the ICC schools in India, there is an award now called the Derosio Award for the most outstanding principal for his contribution to education as well as administration. So that's what Alan was mentioning, and I also checked it out. So now I'll read out the one. To India, my native land, my country, in thy days of glory past, a beauteous halo circled round thy brow, and worshipped as a deity thou wast. Where is that glory? Where that reverence now? Legal pillion is chained down at last, and growling in the lowly dust art thou. The minstrel hath no wreath to weep for thee, save the sad story of thy misery. Well, let me dive into the depths of time, and bring from out the ages that have rolled a few small fragments of those wrecks sublime, which human eyes may never move to hold, and let the guerdon of my labor be, my fallen country, one kind wish from thee. So, from my Henry Louis Vivian Derosio wrote this poem as early as 1809, and even at that time our country was perhaps just at the beginning of foreign invasion. And he saw what perhaps would be the change. He foresaw things, and perhaps that is why he has portrayed the land, and which was subject to foreign invasions, the Portuguese and that. So, any of you can make any comments? Maybe once we finish all the 5 points.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Alfred Noyes poem by the name.
This is a very serious classroom.
Good evening, everyone. Actually, when Mohan called me up and said, would you like to read a poem? I was first hesitant because I thought I might not be here. I'm traveling tomorrow early morning to Kerala, and but then I asked him what are the poems which are supposed to be ready. He said, I think most are taken 1 minute. And then after 5 minutes he said, The Highwayman, and I was thrilled because always there is an element of romance in there that always excites me. I don't know, I like it. And most of the poetry which I write online, which is inspired by Mr. Wood. Because of the love for English which he has given it to us, instilled in us, I'm able to write something of maybe an okay sort of poems, but quite a few of my friends read it, and I was in a poetry club where we could share the poems, and there were quite a few people who enjoyed it too. So later on maybe I will share one of that, but first let me talk about The Highwayman. This poem was written by Alfred Noyes, as everyone knows. It was set in the 18th century in rural England. He was a British poet, so it was set in, and it tells the story of an unnamed highwayman and who falls in love with this beautiful girl, Bess. And in the poem, she's described so beautifully. But there was a villain, and like in TV movies over there, Tim the Ostler, who gave away their love, and because of that, it's a very sad ending, but still it's a very, very beautiful poem which touches everyone's heart. And I remember Mr. Wood coming in with a skate flying, handsome young man running here and walking here and there. And that's the main thing actually I remember about him with the cake fly. So let me read the poem out for you. I'm only reading the part 1 of it. The Highwayman by Alfred Noyes. The wind was a torrent of darkness among the dusty trees. The moon was a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas. The road was a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor, and the highwayman came riding. The highwayman came riding up to the old inn door. He had a French cocked hat on his forehead, a bunch of lace at his chin, a coat of claret velvet, and breeches of brown doe skin. They fitted with never a wrinkle. His boots were up to the thigh, and he rode with a jewelled twinkle. His pistol butts a twinkle, his rapier hilt a twinkle under the jewelled sky. Over the cobbles he clattered and clashed in the darkened yard. He tapped with his whip on the shutters, but all was locked and barred. He whistled a tune to the window, and who should be waiting there but the landlord's black-eyed daughter, Bess, the landlord's daughter, plaiting a dark red love knot into her long black hair. And dark in the dark old inn-yard, a stable wicket creaked. Where Tim the ostler listened, his face was white and peaked. His eyes were hollows of madness, his hair like moldy hay. But he loved the landlord's daughter, the landlord's red-lipped daughter. Dumb as a dog he listened, and he heard the robber say, "One kiss, my bonny sweetheart, I'm after a prize tonight. But I shall be back with the yellow gold before the morning light. Yet, if they press me sharply and harry me through the day, then look for me by moonlight, watch for me by moonlight. I'll come to thee by moonlight, though hell should bar the way." He rose upright in his stirrups. He scarce could reach her hand, but she loosened her hair in the casement. His face burned like a brand as a black cascade of perfume came tumbling over his breast, and he kissed its waves in the moonlight. Oh, sweet black waves in the moonlight. Then he tugged at his rein in the moonlight and galloped away to the west. Thank you. We shall discuss this later on.
My dear friends and classmates from Frank Anthony Public School, checking in after many years, this is Rajagopal Shekhar, and I am truly delighted to see that there is an endeavor to honor Mr. Wood and revisit our collective joy of the panorama of poems. This is clearly a chapter when we were all really young. We were children and not really knowing anything much about life. And it was with that sort of a background that we approached English and poetry. So, not really much to expect, I guess. From that perspective, it was really a breath of fresh air to find a person like Mr. Wood, who, at least for me, brought English to life. From the very first moment he walked in, introducing William Shakespeare and the Midsummer Night's Dream, it was a revelation that this was alive, this had meaning, this had emotion, it had angst. It was wonderful. And so I thoroughly enjoyed his classes. And when we moved to the panorama of poems, you realize that poetry is alive. It connects with you in a very fundamental way. And to have that realization, to realize that this is not just something to memorize for an exam, but something one can genuinely enjoy, was something that I have to credit Mr. Wood for igniting that spark in me. And I have always enjoyed the written word, but to look and read and enjoy it with a greater depth of meaning is something that I will credit him for. So really, it's wonderful to see us coming together to thank him, to honor him, to celebrate him via the panorama of poems. And I cannot think of a better fitting tribute. So huge thanks to my friend Thomas Kanda, who has incessantly badgered and been behind me to be part of this endeavor. And I thank you, my friend. I've been invited to pick a favorite poem, and the poetess that I connect with and enjoy, unfortunately, does not feature in our panorama of poems. And her name is Emily Dickinson. It's an American poetess from a couple of 100 years ago. And I connected with Emily Dickinson at a time, like a lot of us, we go through ebbs of life. And there was a particularly poignantly difficult time in my life where things looked really, really bleak. And I discovered poem 112 by Emily Dickinson, and I can tell you very honestly that it filled fresh fuel, fresh charge, fresh inspiration, and it really allowed me to grapple with the forces at that time and turn my life around. And I give you poem 112. It goes like this. Success is counted sweetest by those who never succeed. To comprehend a nectar requires sorest need. Not one of the purple host who took the flag today could tell the meaning so clear of victory as he defeated, dying, on whose forbidden ear the distant strains of music break agonized and clear. Even now it gives me shivers just to think of it, recite it. It's permanently fixed in my mind. It tells a story of something being so near yet so far, something just beyond the tips of your fingers. You can almost reach it, touch it, but it's just outside your grasp. Of a wounded, dying soldier on a battlefield whose side has lost the battle and has been completely vanquished. And from that point, he sees the other side celebrating the victory, playing music with joy and celebration. And that music is just perhaps even more painful than the mortal blow that he's already suffered. What a poem. This is poetry. It connects with you in so many levels, to inspire, to make you feel, to empathize, and really appreciate what makes us essentially human. So my friends, I'm sorry I could not be there in person. I really would have enjoyed that. But I wish each and every one of you, the best. Enjoy your evening, enjoy your poetry, and let's all collectively, raise our glasses and tip our hats to Mr. Wood. Truly, truly magnificent teacher. So thank you and have a great evening. Bye-bye.
AJ Wood was this in the beginning. Personal thanks to you. Mr. Wood, what we are today, most of the values of the day is thanks to the man. We are able to stand up and speak with confidence. The number of hours he spent with us, and we will share tales later on, but I enjoy the way he punished me. Learn poems, you can stand outside, learn poems, and come back and tell it in the class. There's some tales around that too. Amazing man, amazing human being, and it brings. So very coincidentally, the poem that I chose happens to be a very dear poem for me. I carry this book even today, reminding myself of the man who helped me become a confident person. 21st May today happens to be my parents' 54th wedding anniversary. And on the wedding day, they were gifted Gitanjali by one of my father's colleagues. I'm going to use the original Gitanjali, poem number 35, to read out this poem. This is the book that was gifted to them many years ago. My father spent about 4 decades in Calcutta. My soul, I spent about 13 years in Calcutta initially, and for 3 more years recently. I believe my soul rests in the city. And I have been to Rabindranath Tagore's home in Calcutta, Jurasamko. Strangely, 30 feet away from the building, I asked about a tea stall guy, where is Tagore's house? He didn't know. And that was shocking. And that's how history changes. New people come. And the best part of my experience has been sitting in the room where Tagore breathed his last. And the sense of peace and connect you have with this great soul is unimaginable. And if anyone gets a chance to go to Calcutta, please go visit this poet's house. I think thanks to Mr. Wood, when I was 13, I could connect with Tagore when I was 15. This poem was composed sometime in 1900. Gitanjali, which is actually soul's offering, is the theme, had originally about 153 poems. And this collection, which finally turned out to be about 50 poems in the English version, which finally won him the Nobel Prize of Literature in 1913, has an introduction by W.D. Yeats, if you know that, and it was translated by him. So, if you look at the poems that were actually the original Gitanjali, 103 English poems of his own. He had a sub-poetry book called Naivedya, 15 poems, from which this poem has been picked up. And it's very relevant to today's context in India, where there seems to be a sense of fear to speak. And what I have learned from this poem at the age of 13 has been speak fearlessly, irrespective of what your thoughts are. There is no necessity for thoughts to be unipolar. Poetry is about diverse, multipolar thought process. Enjoy the diversity and bloom in life. Boom. Let's bring out from the original Gitanjali. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action. Into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. The poem continues. and I will read out a part which is not there in panorama. The next part is equally powerful. This is my prayer to thee, my Lord. Strike, strike at the root of penury in my heart. Give me the strength rightly to hear my joys and sorrows. Give me the strength to make my love fruitful in service. Give me the strength never to disown the poor or bend my knees before insolent might. Give me the strength to raise my mind high above daily trifles, and give me the strength to surrender my strength to thy will with love. Tagore can never be forgotten. Mr. Wood can never be forgotten. Calcutta can never be forgotten. My parents can never be forgotten. My soul is connected to everybody today, thanks to you so, and I love Solace. I'm extremely indebted to you and grateful to you. These connections are not coincidental. I believe there's nothing called coincidences in life. Today was the day to be. Thank you very much.
We have Roberts and one of music, please come.
And then Sonali's video is also there.
Yeah.
Solitary Reaper by William Wordsworth, and a romantic poet. Behold, a single in the field, yon solitary highland lass, weeping and singing by herself. Stop here, or gently pass. Alone she cuts and binds the grain, and sings a melancholy strain. Oh, listen, for the vale profound is overflowing with the sound. No nightingale did ever chant, or welcome notes to peony bands of travellers in some shady beach among Arabian sands. A voice so thrilling ne'er was heard in springtime from the cuckoo bird, breaking the silence of the seas among the farthest Hebrides. Will no one tell me what she sings? Perhaps the plaintive number flows. For old, unhappy, far-off things and battles long ago? Or is it some more humble lay, familiar matter of today, some natural sorrow, loss or pain that has been and may be again? Whatever the theme the maiden sang, as if her song could have no ending, I saw her singing at her work, an old sickle bending. I listened, motionless and still, and as I mounted up the hill, the music in my heart I bore, long after it was heard no more.
But somehow the background of poems and the in-depth meaning of the poem all went over our heads, at least my head. Okay? It was more the way in which he delivered, the way in which he caught our attention, and the way in which he was so approachable, and that side of Mr. Wood. But today when we read these poems, really, it's not easy to teach these poems to young kids. You probably have to come down many levels and connect first of all. And that's what Mr. Wood was able to do amazingly well. And very strangely, Mr. Wood had the personality of a tiger. Right? Majestic, he would come into class, okay, and he was so unique. I don't think any one of us ever bunked his class. It was a class not to be missed, okay, and he had also fantastic subtle humor. And I, having the same name as Mr. Wood, very often he would, turn the heat onto me. And he would say, what do you have to say, my namesake? And I would be caught on the wrong foot. So this poem, it's a beautiful poem, okay, again by a romantic poet, David Lake, in the 18th century. And it's a poem which is pretty, I'm able to connect with the poem now, not then, now, as I read it now, okay, to think because of the deep Christian theme that it has. It has a Christian theme running through it, okay, and me being a Christian, sometimes these questions are very hard to answer, right? So William Blake probably went through a little crisis in his life, where he was, and in fact he was always, saying things against organized religion, especially the Anglican Church, and organized religion. He was kind of all them locking horns with them. And today, I think the question is very relevant. We can't take these things for granted, nature, wildlife, creation, basically the creation story. Alright, so I'll just read it. It's a beautiful poem, short poem, which was originally spelled as T-Y-G-E-R, later changed to T-I-G-E-R. The Tiger by William Blake. Tiger, tiger, burning bright. Imagine, Mr. Wood, if you were taught by him. In the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? In what distant deeps or skies burnt the fire of thine eyes? On what wings dare he aspire? What the hand dare seize the fire? And what shoulder and what art could twist the sinews of thy heart? And when thy heart began to beat, what dread hand, what dread feet? What the hammer, what the chain? In what furnace was thy brain? What the anvil, what dread grasp? There its deadly terror clasp. When the stars threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears, did he smile his work to see? Did he who made the lamb make thee? Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry? Thank you for giving me this chance.
I am Mukesh Gupta from batch of 1982. Alan's batch. Okay. So till class 7 I studied in Canada, and in class 8 I came to Bangalore. In class 8 we were taught, there was a book 16 Tales from Shakespeare, and I remember the way it was taught to us. Mr. X like this, get up, read from X line to the Y line. Miss Z, please get up and read from here to there. So English was was not a very favorite subject till then. And then came class 9 and Mr. Wood came and he started teaching the highway map. By itself it's a very beautiful poem, and the way he taught us, he made us fall in love with the English language. Okay? And it so happened that he asked me to take part in these English debates and all that. I think he was in Cobbett House, I was in Cobbett House, and inter-house debate competition, and the topic was some nuclear disarmament and all. And I remember, I didn't know what to do, how to do, I never participated in a debate in my life. But he taught me, this is how you should start, this is how you should present the dialogue, the arguments and all those things. The first debate was on nuclear disarmament, and he told me to start off with perfectionism, no less than isolationism, or imperialism, or power politics shall obstruct the path of international peace. This is the way I started my debate. I am just imagining class 9 until today I remember this sentence. Okay. And then after that, the debate we lost in any case.
Which house? I think it went over there.
And but then, what he told us.
I thought Cobbett House had a reputation.
They lived up to it.
That was the beginning.
But that was the beginning of the debate, and at the end of the debate, he made a statement which I use it in my life in every day with my kids, with everyone. Okay? You did a good job of a bad deed. Okay? Because debate was against us, so we tried to do our best, and that is one thing I remember. Then there is a word, martinet. Okay, that word martinet I'll never forget in my life. The village school master. Okay, in that he taught us that fellow was like a martinet. So it is a very tough person. The ageless stories, there was a story in which there was a lady who used to carry a lot of knickknacks in her purse and all of that. And in that he used the word feminine frivolity. Okay, in the folds of your brain, somewhere deep down some words get stuck. And this is how, I remember some few words here and there.
All about women.
Maybe, that's a Then, he encouraged us to participate in debates and participate in discussion in class. And the thing I remember about him is his energy. The energy is to bring in the class, went down the aisle between the desks and up and down. And I have written I've given a small tribute also, in which sometimes his mouth used to foam. But actually, he used to foam. The guys in the first front desk, you see a film, guy Huna, Okay. So his face used to go red, and he had a very expressive face. The way he used to, have a mischievous look and
he makes a
horror.
That makes the same.
Yeah, all that. So he was more of an actor, and something that he brought into his teaching, and that's what made it interesting for us. And then I remember on a personal note, Shakespeare English was very difficult for me to follow. So for my own purposes, I had translated the entire Midsummer Night's Dream in prose. Okay, for me to understand and all of that. And then I gave it to him, and he corrected it. He had the patience to correct it from end to end. And he said, okay, fine. And it was very useful for me in my essays. Anyway, these are the small things which I remember, and I thought,
I wasn't taught by Mr. Wood because I joined school in 1986 and I was in the 8th at that point. But the memories of Mr. Wood, as everyone has been in the corridor, running down the steps, his coat back in the air. With the whip in his hand, I have been blessed by it numerous times. But the charisma of the man, I mean, it was, I don't think the immediate teachers of his variety any longer, unfortunately. Because, I mean, I think the word respect took on a whole new meaning when you think of him and what he did for all of us. I only had the honor of being under him for a year and a half, that's true. But that year and a half was, I mean, we weren't scared of our teachers. I mean, and I have been through 9 schools prior to that because I'm a defense grad. So I don't remember my principals or any of my other schools. But Mr. Wood, I mean, you did whatever you did, and that went for most of the teachers of that time in school. We did what we had to do. I was punished, I was kneeling in class, but the minute you stepped out of class, come let's go play basketball, come let's go play football, and the teachers were there with us. I think that whole equation changed, even when I was in FAPS, right, in the 11th and 12th. There was a change in mentality, and then we were fighting the students who had to teach, but that's a different story altogether. Another memory of Mr. Wood is, yes, I did have the fortune of having him teach me once. Class was as usual notorious, noisy, loud, and like someone else has shared in the booklet, he walked in and started teaching us Dover Beach. And till today, every time I hear the word Dover Beach, I see the word Dover Beach. There's this image that gets created in my head, which he has instilled just with words. There was no Google, there were no maps, there were no images, there was nothing. But the way he used words and created imagery, I don't think anyone is in a class of this. He was superlative, really. I mean, we were really blessed to have him as a FAPS really, grew in so many ways. We were all-rounders in so many fields at that point in time. So he was really one person who has touched most of our lives.
Once again, hello. This is a poem I wrote last year during the Kerala floods. It was massive destruction. It was the river which vented out and gave way to, spoiled a lot of, harmed so many people, so many things. And we didn't think that we actually are the cause for that thing to happen. So, one of those days, like, I just felt like writing this. And let me say, this is my tribute to Mr. Wood, because he taught us English and that's why I love it. Okay, it's called Enraged. From man-made shackles, she tore herself free, leaping over restraints, unleashing breath, sweeping forward in her rightful path, uprooting dogmas, curtailing her rights, senseless stigmas clamping her world. Her tolerance died as limits exceeded. Her patience waned, no more can she wait. Gushing, frothing, venting her fury, bellowing and striking at all injustice done. Shocked and dazed, they stood transfixed, with meaningless prayers, begging for mercy. Hastily hoping her anger would diminish, hopes against hopes, they continued hoping. But this time they felt and instantly knew her innate unseen power they had misjudged. Their ego androgenic, so slowly sank in deluge. There was little doable being too late now. Oh, the fury of a raging river, a woman wronged and never respected. Thank you. Again, hello.
He was a couple of batches senior to us, Adrian's batch, I think 77 or something, 77 batch. And there's one thing I just want to say something over here. Mr. Wood, when Mr. Wood came to FAPS, there was another legend before him, English literature, Mr. D'Souza. D'Souza, I'm sure all of you remember him. And it was pretty big shoes that Mr. Wood had to fill in, but he really did a fantastic job. So I think Mr. D'Souza set the tone, and then Mr. Wood followed. So the impact was great. The Srijit, unfortunately, couldn't be here. He's not keeping too well. And this is a poem that Srijit wrote about Bangalore. Okay? So I'm sure you will appreciate it. Dearest Bangalore, where have you gone? I remember well the days of yore, of friends and the parks and the green lawns, of wonderful people I adore. Trees were there in plenty all around. Children were there in little groups too. What was needed badly was always found. Cursed by parents, ever so few. The weather was pleasant, as in the north, with temperatures below 20. Rains came at the right time to wet our clothes, giving respite to people over 60. A lot of free space to move around. People, ever so few, were seen everywhere. Now the story is different. That astounds the residents of our little town here. What can be done is anybody's guess. Population here has created the mess. Advocate killing people, never to be done, yet must be among people who have won. Opportunity lies with the common man, only he should be more organized. They have to only carefully scan their quality to be never despised. Srijit Rabindra.
I introduced Wing Commander D'Souza, who was the predecessor of A.J. Wood. I don't know Mr. Wood. But from what you guys described Mr. Wood and how Nalini said how he met the highwayman, I'm guessing that it was Wing Commander D'Souza all over again. I just can't help but share the energy and the passion with which these educators taught us. Right? And he came in just to give you a small anecdote on how these poems were read to us. Okay? I'm not a guy for histrionics, but I'll try to do my best at what Mr. D'Souza did. So D'Souza came into a literature class, and he came in when we had our 40-minute lunch break from 12:20 to 1 o'clock, and we were full of our tiffins and our lunches, and we came back to the sleepy history class at 1 o'clock. So history, how history could be as boring could be. And then at 1:40, literature, D'Souza. So when D'Souza entered the class, there was this energy, and when he began to read, he got the class spellbound. I'm guessing Alan Wood did the same to that. So for example, let's give a small anecdote. When he read The Highwayman, that now he was reading, he said, it was an afternoon, dull, sultry afternoon, where he had everyone's attention on them. He said, and the highwayman came riding, and by the time the third riding came, he had already spotted the classroom door being swung closed by the wind, and he didn't want to stop it all. So in that third riding, he flew like a Batman with his gown flying up in the air to stop the flow from. But he did not want to stop the flow of the energy with which he was reading, and kept us all spellbound. And similarly, if I go to another passage where he talked about the landlord's daughter, he said, but the landlord's black-eyed daughter, he had a fantastic diction. Yes, Bess, the landlord's daughter. When he said that, you could almost see lust in his eyes. back-door souls who are trying to have a good sleep woke up. All the lustful desires of the guys awakening. And Mr. Nalin did not read the end of part 1. I don't know if I was speaking, but did read it. But he said, "One kiss, my bonny sweetheart." All the guys in the back awake to every noise. And that was the passion with which these guys read. And they kind of, like KG said, that it was multipolar. It was a multi-dimension to this energy that anyone could connect with, even if you were not one for poetry. That's the kind of picture I have of Mr. D'Souza. I'm sure, even though I've never studied under Alan Wood came much after I graduated from school, he must have been like that. Got you spellbound with my history on it. For a guy who was not a histrionics guy, you can imagine what Mr. Wood did to us.
And you can imagine what Mr. Wood did to us.
And you can imagine what
So I'll just share a short anecdote. I think.
Shaping us in the way we are today. And I'm going to read a couple of passages from The Inchcape Rock by Robert Sala. No stir in the air, no stir in the sea. The ship was still as she could be. Her sails from heaven received no motion. Her keel was steady in the ocean. Without either sign or sound of their shock, the waves broke over the Inchcape Rock. So little they rose, so little they fell. They did not move the Inchcape Bell. The abbot of Aberbrothock had placed that bell on that Inchcape Rock. On a void the storm it floated and swung, and over the waves its warning rung.
1986, and we had Mukesh, myself, this guy called Vedugopal, Suman said, he used to walk to school every day. Cyclists have bicycles, but he walk to school. And Suman made a white uniform. Suman would come to school in absolute and span white and come back home complete brown. And now this is a French mother screaming, Suman! So this guy was the. I hope he gets hiccups when he gets this we were asked by heart, by rote poems in one class, and someone who struggled. This is a fun-loving guy who cared about poems, and everybody loved wood, he loved his fun. So he was asked by heart a small passage from this one I explained, and he did a good job. He came to the class and started reciting the asked to poem. It was a punishment for him, which he was. And he got stuck at the line, "O is all for God." And he kept repeating, "O is all for God." O is all for God. And Mr. Wood said, "Yes, O is all for God." So God. I was trying to find out which act scene it was right there. Those are days. Apart from Mr. Wood, I think we have forgotten a lady, Mrs. Sanders, used to be a sister. I just realized 2 years ago that Mrs. Sanders was a sister. I didn't know till then. And my opinion about Mrs. Sanders changed dramatically. So I think one of the best our teachers across the board, what we are in Frank and me, we can never forget. So 5 of us from this batch are here, the batch of 82. That itself says love for the school. 6 and 6 and Alan. 6. That's all. And Mr. Alan, our principal, we never had Mr. D'Souza, never taught us. But
he was a headmaster.
Suman has the world record of number of spanks in this. Which practice. But D'Souza, for 10th standard boards, he was not in school then, he already left school. But for 10th standard board exam, every half year in the European schools in the world, so you come and spend lunchtime with us and ask us how our exams go. Such kind of educators, that's what it is.
The definition of a teacher is someone who teaches, but that hardly does justice to a profession that reaches far beyond just conveying some knowledge or skill, for those are many roles that a teacher must fill. These are not my words. but they very aptly describe those special teachers who begin to mean something in a growing child's life. I loved geography, for I knew not how to decipher literature. And then came Mr. Alan J. Wood, a handsome, suave, portly man who introduced me to the lanes and bylanes of English literature, and I was hooked. Suddenly, all the complex Shakespearean language unraveled before my eyes, and I was transported to a time where the language was beautiful and exciting. Poems that seemed to make no sense suddenly became crystal clear, with Mr. Wood explaining in depth in a way that seemed so obvious. I looked forward to all the role play we did in class, becoming these exciting characters one by one. Today, I still remember the words we recited. As a person, he was even more kind. I was never hesitant or scared to step into his office. He had a regal demeanor about him, something I think every principal should have. Yet, he was so approachable. We're in touch today thanks to social media, and I can honestly say he made me love the language and literature. So proud to have had him as a mentor. Salute to you, sir. Hope your tribe increases.
The next thing you know, he was sitting in the headmaster's office, and the next thing he was in the principal's office, the next thing he was gone. It was like in a flash. They really, the school lost him. Fantastic guy. In fact, he came to school maybe about 7 to 8 years ago, maybe 9 years ago. He came to school at assembly, he spoke, and he was recovering from his illness, and I was amazed at that the strength in his voice when he spoke at the assembly was the same. It was quite striking. Just like to end with this beautiful quotation by Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein said a lot of things about teachers. This struck me particularly applying to Mr. Wood. Numerous are the academic professors, but rare are wise and noble teachers. Thank you, Mr. Wood. From all of us, all our love, good health, God bless you. Before we wind up, a few things that we need to do in case we haven't. We have a little cover charge in case you haven't paid. Please, it's just 100 rupees, right? But that's not so important as the group photograph. So I will request all of you to please come forward and let's position ourselves as a photographer. Okay, school song first, right? Okay, can we call up the musician?